My name is Therese Washburn, and I grew up in Pleasantville as T. Ann Tacky. I'm still a resident of the town of Mount Pleasant, and I'm a 14-year member of the Pleasantville Garden Club. I'm here today with Jyoti Tewani. Jyoti is the chef and proprietor of Root2Rise, which is located on Manville Road here in Pleasantville. Root2Rise is a cafe and marketplace which recently opened in June. So I had the pleasure to meet Jyoti through the Garden Club at our October meeting when Jyoti demonstrated the preparation of her vegetarian chili. It wasn't an ordinary cooking demonstration. Jyoti surprised us with providing an education on anti-inflammatory diet through natural foods and spices. You have so much knowledge about healthy eating and living that we invited you to share your insight with us today. Welcome to the show, Jyoti.
Thank you.
So let's start from the beginning. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Well, I've been living in Pleasantville for the last 33 years. We moved from Katona. I was raised and I finished my college education in India, and then I married my husband and moved to Katona in 1988. In '89, we built a house in Pleasantville, so we've been in this town for a very long time.
So how did you come to opening your cafe and marketplace in Pleasantville?
I've always loved Pleasantville downtown. I raised my children in this town. I used to go to Asian Tiger, the martial arts place in downtown Pleasantville, and it's my favorite part of the town. And if I was gonna have a business, if it's gonna be 5 minutes from home. So that's why I picked Pleasantville.
What was the thought process in setting up this type of business?
My background is nutrition and Ayurveda and yoga. I'm an avid yogi. I've been practicing for a number of years. To me, our wellness begins with taking care of our body, which is our temple. This is the one vehicle that we utilize every single day, and that's what lasts us to the end. So to me, taking care of what we put into our body 3 times a day is extremely important. And so I've been studying throughout my life. I've been studying nutrition, and that's my first love. And then a few years ago, when my kids grew up, I started privately working with clients, and I realized that there was such a need for clean eating, because a lot of my clients were these very busy career women that wanted to do things the right way, but just did not have time in their lives between their children and their workplace to be able to spend that much time doing it. And that's when it hit me that there was such a need. And also, my daughter's been gluten-free for a number of years, so we are all pretty much gluten-free in the house. Anything I bake, I try to bake gluten-free anyways. And I found that when we went out to eat, it was very disappointing experience, because I found there was too much hidden sugar in food and in sauces, which is the primary cause of inflammation in our bodies. So just that one thought was, every time we came back and we felt like, oh my God, we wasted so much money and we are not even satisfied. And to me, you don't need to consume a lot of food. The quantity doesn't have to be a lot, but the quality and the ingredients and the love and the energy that goes into that, preparing that food, is very important. And that is where the whole concept of Root2Rise, which is a very yogi term, came about.
Interesting. So Root2Rise, give me a little bit more information about how that became the name of your establishment, yeah.
Well, every time I would start the yoga classes and the yoga teacher, most of the yoga teachers will tell you root to rise, which actually means that let's strengthen our foundation before we rise. And to me, that was just so symbolic of something that I wanted to bring about as my kids grew up and they went on to have their own lives. This was something I really wanted to do, because to me, if on my deathbed there was going to be one regret, it would have been not starting this cafe.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that you were able to.
And well, with COVID, my husband, who's constantly been traveling to Europe all these years, and he was finally home, and we were lucky enough that Vito Errico offered us the place for the next 4 years, and my husband said, you know what, let's just do it. He was home, he was bored, so we hired a contractor, we put together plans, and that's when Root2Rise came about. So it's one of those things that happened because of COVID.
Because of COVID, which is great that there is a silver lining, and very brave of you to do this in this environment. But it sounds like in the short period of time since June that you've been pretty successful with the community. Can you describe how the community has reacted to your new establishment?
I have to say, and part of me knew this, that Pleasantville people are very open-minded. They're very open-minded to trying new things. And what's been amazing is that I have customers that are 8 to 10-year-olds, and then I have customers that are 75, 80-year-olds, and everybody in between. And they've been so welcoming and so kind and gracious and so appreciative of my efforts that it almost feels like, wow, it's like a huge extension of my family. I've gotten so much love in the last 5 months that it's very overwhelming and gratifying, to be honest.
So to give the audience a little insight into our garden club meeting that you presented and prepared your vegetarian chili. Why don't you tell us about some of the ingredients that went into the chili and the intrinsic values of those ingredients that you shared with us that day?
So I made seasonal root chili with all the vegetables, carrots, sweet potatoes, butternut squash. And then I gave them a few tips and tricks so they could utilize those for other things, for other soups. And so I was explaining to them that when we caramelize onions and tomatoes, you really bring out the sweetness from the vegetables. So you don't need to add anything sweet to your chili. You don't need to add any sugar to it, because as it is, root vegetables are sweet to begin with. And then when you properly caramelize, and then what kind of oils you want to use when you're cooking at home so that your oils are not inflammatory to your body. So my main focus when I made my menu and when I'm cooking at Root2Rise is that everything should be anti-inflammatory. Yes, plant-based is important to me, but what's also important is that the ingredients that we are putting in, our spices, our herbs, how are they functional to our body? What can herbs do for us? Well, herbs help us in metal detoxification. So how important it is to add, to your cooking, to add parsley, add cilantro, add mint, add basil, and all of these things are so readily available in our kitchens that we really can utilize that no matter what you're making. So to me, food does not have to be flavorful and nutritious, but it should also be functional to our body. It has to serve a purpose, and that is what my whole menu is about at Root2Rise.
Yes, and we were able to taste the chili that day, and on top of all of the good benefits of it and the healthy benefits, it was very tasty and very spicy, but very tasty. But isn't that what chili's supposed to be, right?
Yes.
Tell us the difference between your method of preparing vegetarian, vegan, and gluten-free meals compared to the way they're presented otherwise.
Like we talked about eating anti-inflammatory, I find that frying food at high temperatures really kills all nutrition. So one thing I don't have in my Root2Rise kitchen is a fryer. I would rather roast and braise the vegetables or use them raw or semi-raw so I can get benefit of all the antioxidants that are available to us through nature. 2, I don't use anything processed or any kind of additives to my food. We only use high quality sea salt, good olive oil and avocado oil in our kitchen, because to me it's important that everything that went into preparing something is beneficial to us, because table salt really is not what I'm looking for at this stage of my life or at any stage of my life. But, you know, those are some of the ingredients that I pay good attention on. We also use very high quality almond flour, gluten-free oats, and gluten-free oat flour, and all of these really clean ingredients to prepare all our baked goods, to prepare, you know, food in the back of the house.
That's wonderful. And actually, I tasted your chocolate chip cookie yesterday that was made with almond flour, and I was quite surprised about how good it was and that you couldn't tell that it wasn't traditional flour.
Yes.
But that takes me to, and I think you've been alluding to the fact that that you've got a saying that the kitchen should be our pharmacy, and I love that. What do you mean by that statement?
Food should be, and this is something Hippocrates said many hundred years ago, that food should be thy medicine and medicine should be thy food. This is the one vehicle we are feeding 3 times a day. Everything that should go in, we have to have the awareness of what we are putting in our body. If we are putting fake stuff, for instance, my Root2Rise BD burger is made out of beets, made of walnuts and mushrooms. These are all real ingredients that are available in your kitchen to work with. So to me, my kitchen has always been my lab all my life. I love my kitchen. I love working with food, and I just don't enjoy things that are heavily processed, full of sodium, or are made in a lab that have all kinds of ingredients that are unpronounceable. And I feel like if I can't pronounce it, why do I want to put that in my body? So I try to work with fresh as much as possible and as often as possible.
Very good. And you shared that insight with us when at the actual cooking demonstration, and I think a lot of the members took that away with them. It resonated at home. Talk about some of the products in your store that has a dietary function.
Well, most important would be, as you walk into my store on the left-hand side, we do cold pressed juices. And it's funny now when I have these customers, they'll walk in and they'll say, oh, you know, my wife just had a baby, and they'll pick up juices for them. And then we have customers that are pregnant, and it gives me so much joy to see these young people nourishing their bodies with such, like, cold pressed juices are one of the easiest way for your body to get clean nourishment. So that to me is, those things are functional, right? It's like our blood builder juice has beets in it, has carrots in it, has ginger in it. Then we have a liquid gold, which is turmeric, ginger, pineapple, and these are all functional juices that, you know, they'll help you with boosting your immunity, they'll help you with additional nitrates to give you more energy if you worked out. So everything on the menu has a function that is being performed when you are consuming that product. Which is, again, brings me back to my kitchen being my pharmacy, and that's, food is meant to heal and nurture.
Yes.
And it should be able to provide both without losing texture or taste. And I've tried to include everything in.
It sounds like you have. And I know you've touched on it a little bit, but what are the favorites of your customers? What do they usually come in and always get?
Our grilled cheese.
And what jumps off the shelf all the time that you have to replenish?
Soup. Our mulligatawny soup is, when we opened the place in July, we had really hot weather. But in 95-degree weather, we were selling out our soup. So we knew come fall, and it's consistently, it's one of those favorite things, and I'll see every age group walk in, a large and a small soup, and then they'll have a grilled cheese on the side. And that is just, really, it's very fulfilling. We make the soup twice a day in the kitchen because we can't keep up with the demand. And also now it's cold, so chili has picked up quite a bit. And I had shared the chili recipe with everybody at the gardening club, and that has taken off. Our ramen does really well because it's full of ginger and miso and very nourishing ingredients in the ramen. And Dan Dan does really well. Dan Dan bowl is lentil noodles with zoodles and mushrooms, peppers, and a nice tangy tahini sauce. That does really well. So it's actually, Root2Rise is a place where people can just come enjoy good, clean meals for not a lot of money, but you know, in a very casual setting. You don't have to sit down in a proper restaurant and pay an arm and a leg to enjoy good food.
It's true. We actually visited your establishment, and it was very bright, and it was very casual, and it was very like I'm going home. It was a very homey feeling. It was, and so you've created, you know, a place that people would want to come to. So tell me about, and you've got a family business. It's a family business. You've described that as a family business. You actually have family working, and you have friends that are family now.
Absolutely.
So tell us about your staff.
Well, we've been very, very lucky with our staff. Everybody that started with us, we still have all the founding members. My son, who's taking care of front of the house, he had last year during COVID, he was kind enough to say, "Mom, I work online anyways. I'll do it from your cafe and I'll manage the front of the house." Lo and behold, that has become his primary job because he had no idea that the business is going to consume so much of his time. But he's been very gracious, and he's like really moving ahead with the growth of the business. My husband, who is the wind beneath my wings, he's always supported me, and with his money, with his time, with, you know, there are days where he'll pack me breakfast because he says that if I don't give this to you, you're not going to eat. So I'm a very lucky woman. My daughter, who does my social media, she's done a phenomenal job, even though, you know, she had no past experience doing this. And my younger son, who's been the runner, I'll call him at the last minute, "Ryan, you're on your way back from work. Can you pick up some baby spinach?" And he'll rush and get that done. And then my back of the house, like my business partner, Mike, who makes all those amazing breads that, you know, people can't get enough of. He's almost like my adopted child because, you know, I can say anything to him and he comes through. And we have Lisa, who's been baking with me. Lisa Hickey's been with me since the beginning. We have Aiden McCarthy, who's been front of the house. Like, I can't say enough about all these people and my customers who've been coming day after day and supporting me. So
that's wonderful. Do you get a chance to cook yourself? You are a chef.
I do. I do cook a lot. I'm very hands-on with everything that goes out of that kitchen.
Very good.
Not much escapes me. I'm very OCD with that.
Well, in closing, let's just put in another plug for Root2Rise. And exactly where is the marketplace located?
We are 359 Manville Road, right across from Jacob Burns Theater. And it used to be the King's Crown liquor store, so we took over that space when they moved.
Then we know that area.
Yes.
Well,
across from the train station.
Yeah. And what are your hours of operation?
We open 9 to 7 on weekdays. Sundays we are open 10 to 5.
And you're open 7 days a week?
7 days a week. We're going to do a whole year with this timing and then figure out what is the slowest day of the week. So we don't get a lot of time off, but it's a lot of fun doing what I do. So I'm happy.
That's great. And then if I was a first timer coming into your Marketplace Cafe, what must I order?
Well, it's also very gender and age dependent, but I always say start your day with a green detox smoothie. You put the first step forward in doing the right thing. And somehow I feel like if we've taken step 1 and step 2 in the right direction, we end up having a whole day that's on a more positive note and on the right foot than, you know, eating something that then doesn't make us feel so good.
And you feel a lot of people running for the train in the morning?
Absolutely.
They come in and get
They'll grab the chia pudding, they'll get a green detox smoothie, they'll get the chaat salad, and they're like, our day went so well, because their blood sugar is so much more balanced when you're eating the right kind of food. Because our blood sugar is the first marker that will cause inflammation. When our blood sugar is going up and down, peaks and valleys, that's the root cause of all inflammation in our body. So we really want to make sure our blood sugar stays at a constant, and I have provided people with all the tools to be able to do that.
And you've done that today and in this setting, and I want to thank you for your time. You're a busy woman, and you have apparently a very successful formula for an organization that's doing very well, and I hope you many years of success.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
having me on your show.
Our pleasure. Thank you for watching.